Welcome back. Right, I tell you what we're going to do straight away, Matt.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the table of what you look for in an Arkle Runner.
Okay.
So let's get that table up. This is what we've got.
The Value Rater's Guide to Finding the Arkle Winner. Now, over, from all the time I've been, this is what I look for. So this is what I sit down and go back and check. If people don't believe me, generally, there are exceptions to the rule. There always is in racing. But generally speaking, you will find a habit of these things happen. Now, your horse in question to win in Arkle must be a horse that stays over 2 miles. So, for a race like this, obviously there's plenty of speed, but you need to stay further than the 2 miles. And also, secondly, you must be able to quicken twice in the race. The Arkle, they go off ever so quick, so you must be able to, obviously, midway through the race, when you want to make your challenge, you must quicken there, and then you must be able to quicken at the end of an Arkle. So that's an opponent that you must have to win an Arkle. You must have won at a Grade 1 track. Is another important factor. Just because the demands of the grade 1 tracks obviously are a lot tougher than normal tracks. That's why they are Grade 1 tracks. And you must have obviously a good jumper, a horse that you don't want any horse that makes mistakes in an Arkle. It'll be all over. I don't like a horse that's a front runner in the race. We'll be coming on to Undersoul in a moment. Now, the reason I say that, we only have to think back to Champagne Fever. He did nothing wrong. He jumped for fun, didn't he, from the front? He did everything right. He got collared on the line. Just doesn't happen from the front. Very good horses don't win from the front, hence why we'll be against Undersoul. And has been in the first or second in its last 4 starts. You will see most of the leading contenders in the Arkle. They actually have that. And Undersoul is not one, because he has obviously got an F next to his name. So that's just a criteria that people might just find helpful to perhaps make a note of it for next Arkle, and just when you approach a race, just have a look at those key factors, because I do think they're very relevant. Okay, right, let's talk about the Arkle. Now, I found an interesting stat as I was going through this.
Undersoul, he fell at Thurles. Now, in that race, there was a horse that finished second, Smoky Joe, 66-1, has won since. Dromnir was third at 25 or 20-1, has won since. The only thing is, it was very steep at his first fence at Fairy House, but last time at Leopardstown, he was absolutely electric. You're going against it. Why?
Yeah, well, the first thing is he's been on the floor. He's been on the floor.
You've been on the floor on a Friday night, haven't you?
Saturdays usually.
Yeah, right.
He's been on the floor once, which it's got to be a way. What it goes to prove is every horse can jump. We're talking about a horse that is best price at the moment, 8 to 13. Now, that's best price. Now, this horse has been 1 to 8 favourite, 1 to 5 favourite, 8 to 11 favourite. So he's fallen when he was 8 to 1 on. Now, he's very enthusiastic. I mentioned that it's very hard to win from the front in an Arkle. As I've just said, Champagne Fever. Look back through the record. It's a very hard feat. He's not too enthusiastic at his fences. I don't think he's going to get round. I'm very concerned. I would want him 8 to 13 to coming down and jumping from 3 out to the line. I'm concerned. If you if you can try and slow it down a little bit and really have a look at his jumping round, I don't think it'd be good enough for Cheltenham. And if he does, like Paul said, gets into a river and pings everyone, then yes, they're in trouble with him behind. But that's got to be a big doubt for me. He's enthusiastic. I'm not saying that he's an absolute head case, but he's erratic into his fences. And
you'll have heart permutations back in this horse at 8 to 13, won't you?
Oh, every fence.
You know what I mean? It's not like Felbrito Vortat, is going to jump round. Josh's Hill, I think, will jump round.
Every fence.
Are you saying that the jumping here of Undersoul is the big question mark, and that's why you wouldn't go 8 to 13?
I wouldn't go 8 to 13. When he's jumping in an Arkle, and the more from the fact how he does it from the front, what he achieved last time, it was visually impressive. He beat Carcam 15 lengths. Carcam, as we go on through this preview, he ties in collaterally to a few other horses in this race. But yes, he's a Grade 1 winner, but he's been the short price favourite. I've just got this feeling inside me that he's not going to get round. I can see him getting one wrong and being pulled up.
What got me at Thurles was quite interesting. He was almost a fence clear of some of the other horses, and the camera couldn't even keep up with him.
No.
And Gil Gumbo and Clarkham are no slouches. And I know what you're saying. I was visually impressed with the last performance at Leopardstown. And I don't think Leopardstown is the easiest of courses either. Okay, let me put this question to you. If the horse stands up, it wins.
I think so, yeah. I'm really, it's his enthusiastic nature of is the way he goes at those fences, just the way he jumps. You'll see at the end of the show when we talk about the ratings where I've got him, you'll see that I'm not saying the horse hasn't performed up to these. I mean, I'm saying this horse ran to a mark of 178 last time, when we'll be talking about other horses that are not even in the 170s at the moment. The reason I'm against, there's no doubt that he can perform to those marks. My doubt is he hasn't been to Cheltenham yet. It's completely different kettle of fish, you know.
And there are some horses that have been to Cheltenham.
Absolutely, and I've just got this feeling that of all the horses of that week, I don't think this is going to win.
And Underside must be said, as I keep going back to not only the fall, but if you look at the first at Fairyhouse, that first fence was a very steep jump, and it could have easily come down. Right, let's take a look at the second favourite. We had Paul Nicholls on the phone, Vibrato Votat. Top Gamble was one of the horses that I suggested to follow. I actually did follow up and win, but then come up against Vibrato Votat at Warwick, and I think Warwick are quite steep fences as well. The horse jumped very well. He
did jump very well. I mean, he's obviously improved from last year. What I like about Warwick, and the same as Kempton, is when we're talking about winning an Arkle, you must possess the speed, as I've pointed out there. Now, you'll find a lot of Arkle horses or Arkle contenders. The trainers bring him to the likes of Warwick and Kempton, and that's you know, for a very good reason, because if you win at Warwick, what it does prove over 2 mile around there is that you got speed and you can jump, because you're always on the turn there at Warwick. Those fences down the back come at you quick enough. You've got to have the speed, so I like that about him. And what Vibrato Votat showed last time is he can quicken twice. He had to quicken to get to the eventual second, and then he quickened again. And didn't he do it? Really impressive.
How much has he improved in your view for when behind Dame Ravenstorm? Do you buy the theory of all the sort of social media, all the Twitter saying, look, Sam Tristan Davis gave it a bad ride, or do you think the horse has improved significantly since that point?
No, the ride, I thought the ride was atrocious at Cheltenham. In fact, I backed him. In fact, I backed Vibrato Votat before that race for the Arkle. On the exchanges around 33 to 1, so I'm sat quite happy at the moment. And when I seen that ride, of course, people made reference to the horse did it all the time last time, but it was an awful ride for me, and I think I was proven eventually right the time after. And if Sam had his time again, I'm sure he would ride him differently. But the form book said that he took on Ravenstorm on again, didn't he, in Sandown, and overturned that to show that form actually to be wrong. But I mean, this horse has experience of the Cheltenham Festival and track, which is going to be a big plus for him. He will get further, I'm pretty sure of that. He's bred for get sort of 2.5 miles, even though he hasn't done it at the moment, but he's clearly got the class, he's clearly got the speed, he can go round the track. Do I think his price at the moment of 5 to 1? I still think that's a fair bet, but I do think there's other horses we're going to speak about, collaterally, aren't too far away from him, but without a doubt, a big, big contender.
Well, I must say, I changed my charity bet today, didn't I? And this was spending a little bit of time looking at all the races. And originally I was going to go for Vibrato Votat, rated 140 over hurdles. Joss's Hill was rated £10 higher, 150 over hurdles. Was beaten last time at Kempton by third intention. But I am going to put this up, and I just think there's a lot more in the tank. I mean, you've got to take the form at Cheltenham last year. We've got Sergeant Reckless, who's in this race, who he actually beat 6 lengths at Aintree, I think it was. Joss's Hill, for me, is the untapped potential of the 3 at the end of the market. We know what Underserda do because we've seen it. Vibrato Votat's been on the go quite a bit. Joss's Hill is twice, and if you tie it in with 3 Kingdoms, there's not much in between.
Yeah, he's a big horse, isn't he, Joss's Hill? That was 2.5 miles last time at Kempton Graduation Chase. I got the feeling all the way through that race is that he wanted to go a little bit quicker. Than he wanted to, over 2.5. He'd previously run 2 miles. Without a doubt, this is disappointing. I thought his jumping lacked conviction, and he just looks a bit awkward at his fences at time. I think coming back to something like, you know, even though you need to stay 2.5 miles, probably to win an Arkle. 2 miles, I think it'd be better, seen a better light. This wasn't his best run. If he performs like that, being beat by Third Intention, getting all that weight, well, that won't win an Arkle for you. However, his run before that at Doncaster in Novice Chase over the extended 2 miles on good ground, beating Solar Impulse. This is slightly better form. You know, I've gotten performance to marks like 1.6, 1 for that race, which is still obviously a long way behind the favourite from a ratings point of view. But you pointed out there the reference. I mean, he was second last year in the Supreme Novice. And let's not forget, because this is a Grade 1 and the Arkle's a Grade 1, we forget sometimes this is a novice chase. You know, it's you seem to think, oh, it's great when you've got to be. This is actually a novice chase for these, so they are learning all the time. There's just 12-1 best price he is at the moment. I do think that you know, that's arguably value, but he just concerns me. He just looks a bit awkward at his jumps. I do
awkward or green?
Awkward, I would say. I mean, if he gets what he sees one fence right when he's on the right stride, but I think some of that has been the pace. Certainly last time he wasn't able to get into that kind of rhythm.
No, I agree with that. I just okay. Third Intention's not you know, if it was in this race, it wouldn't even be in the first 6 in the betting. But I just felt the horse run green, and I felt there was a lot more that could be done with Joss's Hill. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I can see.
I think he's left a lot in the. I think Nicky Henderson's left a lot in the locker.
I think in a real championship pace, which Undersoil will make sure it's championship pace, I think that will improve him, because I think he'll be able to get in that natural rhythm and, you know, over he goes. Where before I think that it has been a more over 2.5. They've gone a little bit slower. It is a disappointment they go into the race, but he's priced accordingly on that. I mean, if he would have won that at 2s on last time, then we'd have been talking about a horse that was probably going to be the same price as Vibrato Valtat. So Joss's Hill, I wouldn't fully give up on him, but I would. I'm glad you got that charity bet.
Okay, right. Should we talk about your value?
We can do, yeah. Free Kingdoms is very interesting. As I say, to win an Arkle, to stay a little bit further, this horse has proven it. He's won over 2.5 miles, this horse. Now, his best price at the moment, 80 to 1. He was 82 rated on the flat, got him rated 164. His official mark of 151. Solar Impulse, who, of course, ties in on that Doncaster run we were just talking about. Now, he gave £3 to Solar Impulse. So if I do the maths for you, he basically comes out, Free Kingdom, around the same horse as Joss's Hill on that run, but did make a terrible blunder. AP was on 3 out. You know, he was 4 to 6 on that day, and of course Free Kingdoms before that was second to Vibrato Valtat at Kempton for half a length, beaten off level weight. Now again, I just thought Vibrato Valtat showed a little bit more speed than him on the day at soft ground. He just got a little bit outpaced. But what I liked about it was as they came down, he actually took the lead, and Vibrato Valtat took it up over the last, and you thought, well, it's all over now, he's going to go away by a few lengths, but he didn't, you know. Free Kingdoms come back to him, and I just think around the prices, he could be very interesting. 20 to 1 when you're coming out, you know, half a length behind Vibrato Valtat. Why are you 20s and that horse 5s? I know what I want to be doing.
Right. I mean, obviously last year it was Western Warhorse, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Any outsiders worth a mention?
I do want to mention, I mean, we haven't mentioned Valtor yet.
Do you think he won?
You know, I'm not sure if he won. He obviously won the Supreme last year, beat Joss's Hill 6 lengths.
Yeah.
If he can return to that sort of form, he obviously disappointed last time, but he was behind Carcam, who obviously the favourite was by 17 lengths, so he doesn't come that far behind the favourite.
I'm not sure
on that run. I'm not sure.
No, not sure we'll run in this particular race.
And the only one I think important to mention, Sergeant Reckless. Now he does lack experience. He's only had 1 go at chasing, but if ever an Arkle was made for a horse, this was it, Sergeant Reckless. I backed him last year at a huge price around the 50 to 1 mark for the Supreme. He ran really well back in 4. He's only had that run at Utoxeter, and of course disappointed behind Fahini over hurdles, but had a recent spin on the all-weather. But maybe it'll be a little bit too soon for him, the Arkle. But keep an eye on Sergeant Reckless. I'm sure he's going to be very high class.
I mean, in terms of Sergeant Reckless, it was quite funny because it was one of my ones to watch from Cheltenham. But I think someone else on the panel made the point, and probably rightly so, that the horses in that race were weakening, and Sergeant Reckless was running on in that race, and it becomes an eye catcher, doesn't it? When you look at a horse, a lot of people judge this, and they look at a horse runs on, oh, it's an eye catcher, but it's not. That's not necessarily the case, is it?
Not always. Well, I disagree with that. In the case of, in what you're saying, no, that's right. I think it's very important to watch that horses aren't just stopping and, you know, and horses look like they're staying. But with Sergeant Reckless going into the Supreme, that he beat West Wizard over a novice herd around Kempton. I remember watching that day and followed him. My concern with him in Supreme, even at Championship pace, was the trip, because he is a 2.5 miler, really.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is kind of made for him. And, you know, I know it's on the old course, the Arkle, but you really do. I mean, look back through the records. You'll see horses have gone on and they've been winning over 2.5, 2 mile 5. That's what you need for a race like this. Probably it'd be too soon for the Mick Channon and the Radfords, but keep an eye on Sergeant Reckless as a stayer over the fences.
Okay, right. It's time to take a look at your ratings. This is the definitive look at the ratings for the Arkle.
Okay, so here we are. So as we can see, I'm not undersold. I've got clear here 178 on my rating. Next Vortor is in at 169 on his best form, that is. Valbrato Valtet 164. Free Kingdoms, my selection for the race, 164. Value at the moment 20 to 1. Joss's Hill, Peter's selection there, 161 on his best form. And Sergeant Reckless, even at 159, which was for a lowly, apparently, Utoxa to chase, but I rated it pretty high that day. So what I'm saying is to people that, yes, I do agree Undersell on a rating deserves to be, I still don't think on a rating he deserves to be as short as he is. On that kind of rating, I would suggest that even money would probably be a fair bet. But I've just got this doubt. We're talking about Cheltenham, we're talking about the conditions of the race, and I don't know. He's one I do not think will win the Arkle.
Right, you heard it here. You get all those people on the comments on YouTube.
I can feel it vibrating in my pocket.
Yeah, but I don't think it will go off 8 to 13 on the day either.
The bookies will get after it.
They'll go even money on this.
Yeah.
Or 10 to 11 because, okay, it was very impressive, but look, it only beat 2 horses.
Sure.
It won a 3-horse run a race. And I'm not saying it's not the class because it is the class horse. But when you've got question marks over the way the horse jumps, bearing in mind it's fallen, bearing in mind that the first mistake that I keep mentioning at Fairyhouse, it was electric last time, but there was no one to compete against it. The only thing is, there isn't an obvious front runner in the race. No. Right, quickly take a look. This is the way to email Matt with your questions and tweets. Let's get it up very quickly.
Yeah, do keep them coming. I mean, inundated even today with these. And obviously, we're not here next week, but come and keep them going for the week after. Value Raters Class Act. Just Twitter me at ValueRater or email value.rater@outlook.com.
Okay, we're going to take a look at our charity bets.
And thanks to Betfair for this. Any winnings will go to the Injured Jockeys Fund. Value Rater, Free Kingdoms, £100 win at Betfair. And
Josh's Hill, a change of mind quite late on. Right, that is our charity bets. Right, thank you very much indeed. Well, that's it for Value Raters Class Act. Up until Cheltenham. We have got more programmes coming up, though. Matt, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a lot. Have a good Cheltenham.
Fascinating. Underso, according to Matt, is no value at all. We'll wait and see if that's true. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.